Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video we're going to open the 2-player starter set of Warmachine, and not only are we going to do the unboxing, but we're going to make a tactical review to see how to play each and every single of those miniatures. Quite excited to open this box because it is the first plastic box that I'm going to open ever for a Warmachine, because I only knew the resin version of Mk4, which is when I joined the game, for the Storm Legion. And well, I will not dilly-dally too much, but yeah, I'm very excited to see what is going to be inside. I will open the box, but first, before we go to the unboxing part, remember that you have the timestamps if you want to skip directly to the tactical part, the tactical review and everything. And you also can give us a thumbs up, it always really helps, and a comment helps even more. And if you are the best, you either are already a subscriber or you will subscribe now, and thank you very much if you do either of that. All right, without further ado, let's open this box. Okay, now it's open. Let's see how it looks inside. Okay, it's just raw plastic in the middle. Yeah, I have to say I got two privileges with the War Cradle boxes, where you have this nice little packaging. Well, at least you have this here, okay? Nice little thing to say like, okay, start here. Probably the main building guides and everything. Get the application, it's free, I like most of it, and it's very good. There is also some lore on the application. If you don't know the game, go there. It's really made me fall in love with the universe even more. And we get the plastic. Okay, some bases, of course. You should have, I guess, 2 large bases. At least that's what I hope for the giant robots. Okay, indeed, those 2 bases for the giant mechs, like the Warjacks. This probably for the rocket guy. I didn't check the profiles, like the base yet, but I guess it's for one of the solos, or maybe even probably the solo with the rocket launcher, if it were to be my guess. And let's have a look at the plastic. Okay, with this design, we obviously are looking at Khador miniature, like especially with this and the little chainsaw that you can get there. Okay, this is the Warjack for sure. It's like half as proof. I suppose it is not enough to beat the whole Warjack. And actually, I'm not so sure. Like, you have kind of everything. You have the chest here, like you have both legs, the arm, you have a weapon here, weapon there. I think this is enough to build the Warjack, half as plastic sprue. Well, yeah, efficient. Good job, Steamforce Games. That is an efficient use of plastic. 1 Warjack half as sprue. Yeah, I guess that helps you to put the prices low, at least I hope. Then we have the main infantry sprue of Khador. You can see some legs, some armor with the symbol of Khador, of course. I love this little sign. Like they have this style. I don't know how you would call this. If you know, let me know in the comments so I can say it right later on. But there is a lot of armor and helmets and everything with these little holes, and I have no idea how it's called and what it's used. I guess to protect from bullets or something, or arrows. But I really love this style. I have to say I'm quite convinced by the level of detail in this plastic. I wanted to have a look, like after going back from resin, is it going to be good enough? I mean, there is not crazy amount of detail, but you can have fun, especially with the smoke on the rockets here. There is this little Gatling there. I mean, at some point you need to make a balance between whether you want too much detail, and for example, my Leagues of Votan have too much detail on them to paint, or if you want something simple and good looking, and I think this is on the second category. It's simpler, but it will look great. You also have some terrain. This is for the dangerous zone, and you can just paint it. And you have some walls, okay? It's made of plastic, it's always enjoyable. And doesn't matter the game, I will enjoy having a little bit more plastic terrain. But probably this is, of course, we're gonna use it for our Warmachine battle reports. Okay, I got a few bits that fell off the wagon. I'm not sure which they are. I will have to check, because those bits are going to 2 different players, so they can build and we can make some battle reports soon. Good lord. If anybody knows what they are, no, okay, I'm not gonna ask it here, but good luck finding out who they belong to. Okay, apparently they were brutalized in the transport, because I have another bit that fell off the plastic sprue. And we go, okay, this is Cygnar, because I recognize the style of the Storm Legion. This looks like my Thunderer, and this, yeah, the energy coil there. This is also half sprue, but a big half sprue, and that is going to be the Cygnarian Warjack, which is called Deuce. Yeah, I didn't give the name. For Khador that we've seen just before, this guy, the Warjack, is called Razor. Then we have Sergeant Garros, if I'm not mistaken, with a rocket launcher. The Warcaster is Capitan Zahara. Oh my god, I'm terrible with these names. And I speak a little bit of Russian, I'm supposed to know how to pronounce those. Okay, we have Capitan Zahara Vilkul and Sergeant Goran Lazarenko for the Khador side. And of course you have then the Hounds, which are the 3 normal soldier. So this is the Deuce, and we'll see what he does. Each of these factions, we're gonna talk about it in the Tactica, but they're played quite differently. They're not super easy to play. Even though this is a starter set, they have quite complex rules, but they usually have the same rules. We'll see, like, for example, the Cygnar are all about movement, and the Khador, well, no, I will not spoil the Tactica part, but it's quite interesting that it's not like the most basic units you can have in the game. That makes it quite interesting. And there we have the infantry sprue, where we're going to get the 3 gun mages from the Black 13th, and we're probably gonna have also the major Allister Caine, as well as the Capitan Bastian Falk. All right, this is everything that you get. This is Khador sprues, and those 2 sprues are for Cygnar. And okay, that's quite a good amount. You pay for this 90 euros for all of this, which is fair price. Like, I mean, it's better than it used to be. In Resin, Warmachine was completely out of price. I don't know why it was such, because it's supposed to be cheaper when it's 3D printed, and it was probably more expensive per miniature than Infinity or Games Workshop and all the other expensive games. So I don't know what was happening there. But now we have those plastic, and of course it's gonna be a little bit cheaper because, well, it's made of plastic. Okay, you've been hearing me telling names like Major Caine and the Hounds, etc. But how do these units actually play? And this is gonna be the heart of the video. Well, this is what we're gonna have a look now. If you leave us now, you just wanted to have a quick look at the sprue, well, thanks. Give us a thumbs up and all the things, but let's, without any further ado, jump right into the Tactica. Okay, second part of the video, let's talk about how to play each half of this 2-player starter set. Again, I want to point out that those are quite complex models, like they're really not the easiest models you could play for the game, but they are good to get a feeling of what Warmachine is actually about, which is few models, it's a skirmish game, lots of rules and very powerful combos when you learn how to play efficiently. Little reminder of what you get. First, in blue you have the gun mages from Cygnar, so you're gonna get your Warcaster, the character Deuce. You're also gonna get a solo, 3 models that are a single unit, and a little bit of scatter terrain, depending how you divide it with your friends. Same thing on Khador side, so you get the Warhounds, you got your Warcaster again, a character Warjack, a solo character, 3 models that make a unit, and again a bit of terrain. So that is what you get. If you divide, it's like $45 for each half, which is fairly decent for what you get. Like a big Warjack, some characters, some units. Like, I would say the price is decent. It is indeed made to attract some people. Hopefully it means that later on, when they're gonna keep generalizing the plastic for Warmachine, the prices are going down, because before it was expensive, let's be honest, and it's usually the main drawback to people when I try to introduce them to Warmachine in the little Paris community, is like, yeah, but why would I pay so much for 3D printed models? And yep, that's a fair question. Now, if those prices stay the same as the starters, of course a bit more expensive because starters are an attractive product, it's gonna kickstart the Warmachine community for sure. So we start with Cygnar, with the major Allister Caine, which apparently from what I read was a known character from before, and it's quite cool. Like, I'm quite new to the universe. I caught up on what happened for Mk4 onward. I read all the things in the application and everything. It's very interesting, by the way. But Caine I know from the name, but I'm not sure what he actually did. Now, what does he do in-game? The first thing that we will see, and it's something that we will see quite a bit all around the Cygnar forces, is that he has evasive, which means that whenever is hit, not aimed, hit by an enemy ranged attack, after it is resolved, you can move 2 inches. So you could go closer to the enemy, you could go further away if you want to evade a charge or something, you could go to hide behind a building, go into cover. There are lots of things that you could use this, and it's a rule that we will see really quite around. This is the first thing I wanted to point out, and he gives to Warjacks in the battle group evasive as well. So it's something you can spread out, and it's really like the signature capacity of Cygnar here. There will be a lot of repositioning shenanigans for them, and that is going to be interesting. Not only evasive, you're gonna have some repositioning, but they're very soapy, like a soap. Like, that's a French word we use for miniatures that go around and you cannot catch them. I'm not sure how we call it in English, but yeah, they're really gonna be jumping around and being very hard to catch. Caine has a defense of 17, quite good. armor of 13, not so good. And his main weapons are the Spellstorm pistols, which is rate of fire 1, 12 range, so a bit close, and power 12, but first of all, it's a magical weapon, we love it, and whenever you use, you can choose one of the 3 powers, Heartseeker, which basically means you get another die on the damage roll, so that is quite good. You can get Thunderbolt as well, which means that you push the enemies away from you. Like, again, if you want to not get caught in a charge, that's really good. And on a critical, the enemy gets knocked down. First of all, like, this is so like thematic and everything, like explosive ammunition. It's very cool rule, and plus it's quite convenient. And finally, you have the Witch Mark, which means, and this is quite great, you can first touch the enemy with your bullets, and then you ignore line of sight, which shouldn't be a big issue, but especially range for all your spell capacities, which is actually, I quite enjoy this. And you really have this combo of having this gunslinger feeling, and love it. You can also reload it, so you can spend focus to make it basically a machine gun. Like, I'm not kidding, you can make it a second attack because you have 2 pistols, and it's very cool. To lead even more into this gunslinger feeling, whenever you disable a model with a ranged attack, no tough saves, so you cannot have this kind of like feel no pain way of staying alive. No, you get a headshot, you're down. Very powerful, and he gives this to gun mages, we will see them later. He gives this capacity of headshot to all gun mages around, so there is no like tough and everything, you're gone. That is good, like, I mean, especially when you face against Khador, that has a few like tough models, like with the rule tough, then you can just literally cancel it. Very strong in the right matchup. His feat, which is like basically what defines him, is Arcane Conflagration. This is like basically the turn where you're gonna just shoot everybody down, and it's like really like this, they call it Arcane Conflagration, they could call it it's high noon, because damn, there are 2 parts to this rule. First part, you're going to give to all the gun mages, well, there are not so many models, but all the gun mages that you have in this box, and the Warjacks around with ranged weapons, you give them Blessed, so that's already good. Magical damage type, wow, look, I love it, you can obliterate ghosts with it and go through defenses and everything, and plus 2 powers to everyone, every time you shoot. But that's not it. Whenever a weapon has multiple attack types, for example this, what we see here, where you have to choose, well, usually you choose only one, where here you can choose a second one. So for example, with this little Caine, you could use Heartseeker and Thunderbolt at the same time. That's really good. You got some spells, I'm not too, like, expert enough to tell you which spell you really want. All I can tell you is that you have a teleport spell, which basically make yourself teleport within 6 inches. So again, this gameplay of just being literally uncatchable, quite cool. He also has an upkeep spell, which is called Calamity, which basically you point at someone, -2 defense, -2 armor. So you really point this guy and he's gonna die because you have a lot of good shooting, headshot and everything. All right, and another one of his unique spell is Heightened Reflexes. You point out a friendly model, it cannot be knocked down, and it cannot be made stationary when you force him not to move. Fair. Overall, there is a lot of identity on this Major Caine. It's really like it's a pistolero. It's like this guy in the far west just going around, and just look at the pose, the coat. It's very flavorful. It's not why I signed on the Storm Legion. It can be attached to the Storm Legion. It's a very different aesthetic, I would say. Storm Legion are like these electrical knights with heavy armor and everything, and is basically a gun mage, like a Western gun mage. It's fine, it's fun. I'm quite excited to put it on the table. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to play this or other people in the French community of Warmachine will like to play this guy, but yeah, it's really fun and very thematic. The named Warjack that goes with him is called Deuce, and this guy is as defense 13 only, let's start with this, but armor 18, which is fine, okay. He has a few cool things. First of all, Accumulator Gun Mage. When he is within 3 inches of Gun Mage's model, he gains a focus point. Always enjoyable. We have a similar rule in Storm Legion. To have it with Gun Mages is fine. Also reposition. If you did not run or fail a charge, you can reposition 3 inches at the end of the activation. Again, this movement that makes you a little bit evasive. And let's remember that if you have a Major Caine, it can give them the capacity to move 2 inches when they get shot. So it can also be very slidey. He has a melee weapon, which is the Crescent Blade, power 15, but magical, quite good, and gives him +1 armor while it's not deactivated, so he goes to armor 19. Don't think it's a huge tank either, guys, but it's always nice to have this thing, especially if you get attacked by, I don't know, ghosts or magical creatures. And his main weapon, why you want him to go around, is the Spellstorm Cannon. This is really like, you go with Major Caine and it's not a pistolero, this thing is a big cannon. First of all, he has True Sight, so you will ignore any cloud effect, okay? You ignore stealth, that's very, like you've seen it in our Discovery Battle Report, True Sight is very helpful in many circumstances. The Spellstorm Cannon has a rate of fire of 1, a range of 12, exactly the same for now as the pistols of Caine, but it has a power of 14, also a magical attack, and there are 3 capacities that you can choose from. Let's remember that you can, during the feat of Caine, choose 2 capacities instead of just 1. You can also reload the same to make a second attack with a second barrel, let's guess. And you can make a powerful attack. You can spend 1 focus to boost all attacks, so 2 if you shoot twice, and give an additional attack, an additional damage roll. So the turn you want to give him a lot of power, you can give him something like 2 focus, 1 that he will get from Accumulator and 1 that he will get from Caine. And then you make 2 attacks at power 14 with an extra dice for attack and an extra dice for damage. Quite good, but wait a second, like I didn't tell you which effects you can choose. You can choose Beatback. And this means that the enemy is pushed 1 inch away and then you can kind of follow up. That is fine, it's kind of like the same as what the explosive pistols of Caine was, fine. You can also have Blast, which reduces the power to power 12/6, but it gives AoE 2. So when you have some really difficult to hit enemies, this can be really nice, especially when you start to have extra dices on the attack. And you also have Decrepitation, which means if you shoot a construct and an undead or an undead model, you get another extra die. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think with powerful attack, it means you can have 4 dices if you if you spend the powerful attack and Decrepitation. So you're gonna make 2 powerful attack with reload that will just obliterate another machine. So it's kind of like a pistolero, kind of making headshots, except he's not made to shoot at infantry. He's really made to make like a high noon against other warjacks and undeads and constructs, which is quite fluffy, and I actually quite enjoy it. Like, it sounds very fun and thematic again. The solo character for Cygnar, he has 8 health, so okay. Defense 15, to armor 12, not great. He has leadership for gun mage, so he has this capacity called reciprocate, which means that when an enemy attacks him, you can immediately make 1 basic ranged attack against the guy that just shot you. So that's good, he has it, he gives it to other gun mages around him. And let's remember, I'm just going back to Caine, let's remember that Caine gives gun mages around headshot as well. So you can really tell the guy, like, okay, shoot me, but then I can shoot you back, and maybe I'm gonna make you a headshot, so I'm just gonna kill you outright, no matter how tough you are. So something to take into consideration. We'll talk about his shotgun, like scattergun, in a second, but he also has run and gun, which means that if you destroyed 1 or more enemy models during your activation, okay, you can make a full advance. That's quite a lot. So you just go straight in the face of the enemy with your weapon that is powerful, like it's basically a shotgun. You cannot go so far at all. And you shoot the guy, you kill him, and then you just run all the way back again. Or you go to take an objective of whichever you want, which is good. He has a sword, which is, let's not talk about it. You can try to push some weak elf away, but that's not gonna help much. His main weapon is a Magelock Scattergun, and this thing, power 12, magical attack, spray 8 as a range, rate of fire 1. Okay, that's already good. Like having a spray like a shotgun, it's already nice because you can get in position, shoot, and you don't care, because if you count on killing the enemy, you can think like, okay, I'm gonna make a full advance after and I'm gonna get out of harm's way. especially since you have magical weapons again, which means you can go after a lot of targets. One capacity to choose amongst 3. During the feat you're gonna have 2, let's remember. You can banish, which means that when you damage a non-leader model, you can kind of like move the enemy model where you want, which can make sure that it goes out of back-to-back, for example, or you can just move it around, which is nice. It's not the first thing I would choose. I would rather shoot Decapitation, for example, which we've seen just before, which allows you to have an extra die roll against constructed models, quite good. And finally, Incendiary, which first of all causes fire damage if the enemy has weakness. It's going to be good. And if you hit an enemy, there is the fire continuous effect on this enemy, so they can keep fire and keep getting damaged by this. Quite cool, quite cool. For a little solo, I would say it's good. And I would like to put in perspective that it costs only 4 points. So 4 points to give reciprocate to your gun mages and this nice shotgun attack that can put fire and kill enemy construct. I mean, it's quite fair, like I like it, and you can reposition to get some objectives. I mean, for me it's a good model. And I forgot to say, but Deuce is 17 points, and of course it's characters, both of them, Deuce and Bastian Falk, so you cannot have them twice, obviously. Last unit, and this is those that receive all the buffs because they are gun mages as well, the Black 13th, which is this 3 character model for Cygnar. Let's start so I don't forget, they cost 9 points for 3 models, alright. And as you can see, they have a lot of things going on, those guys. They have different rules. I will not go through all of them. Remember, you can give them headshot, so they can outright kill tough enemies. You can give them reciprocate, we'll see their weapons, and they got some funky position. For example, Watts can reposition himself at the end of activation. You can get Ryan can have the prowl capacity, the guy with the 2 pistols. Ryan should be this guy, I guess. Yeah, it's difficult to know. No, Ryan is this one. Ryan is specifically this one. Glover is this guy with a sword, and Watts is the sniper. Alright, so what do they get? For example, this guy with a twin pistol gets prey and prowl, can get harder to hit. Glover gets true sight, interesting, and the sniper gets reposition and prowl as well. So they're all of them at defense 15, which is fair, armor 12, which is not great. They're a little bit fragile, 8 boxes each, okay. Let's have a look, especially what we want to see, all of us, is their weapon. They're all at rating, like range attack 7. Okay, alright. Let's start with Ryan. 2 Magelock pistol, each of them rate of fire 1, magical attack, power 10, okay, and they have a load of special rules. Like, I don't want to spend too much time on the videos, I didn't put all of them, I could detail them one by one. Basically, you can choose 3 different types of attack: brutal damage, quite good, thunderbolts, explosive ammunition, shadow fire, and well, there are a few good things you can choose. Remember, you can have 2. It's a nice attack, it's a nice pistol, you get close, you kill some enemies. It's basically a little Caine, let's say, like a less strong, but basically what Caine does, Ryan does as well. Glover, this guy, gets also different attacks, same power 10, rate of fire 2 with the dual Magelock, but makes it so you cannot, from what I understand, the difference is that you cannot point at 2 different enemies, from what I see. And yeah, and of course the special keywords are interesting. One thing I didn't say about Ryan, so again, Ryan, little Caine. Ryan has a capacity called Mage Storm, which means that if you hit the same model with both attacks, so it incentivizes you to aim only at one guy, then you put a cloud effect template on the guy that has been hit, and it stays for 1 round, so until your next activation. And any model that enters or finishes activation in this template gets a power 12 fire damage roll. So you can kind of like make an interdiction zone, let's say, of pure electrical fire, which is kind of cool. While Glover, which is the guy that can have sprawl, which means that when he's concealed he gains stealth, okay? What he has is that it's a special type of attack called both barrels, and you cannot make additional ranged attack with this, alright? But then you gain +4 to your damage roll, so you can really like make one big attack to try to make a lot of damage. His special attacks are Black Penny, which means you ignore the defense of in melee you have when you shoot at someone, which is good. It kind of like doesn't care, great. Brutal damage, which means you gain an additional die on the damage roll if you hit the target directly, great. And finally, momentum, which means that when you hit someone, moves d3, and you can push down large models and everything. Okay, so quite more like in your face, but very interesting as well. But you see, it's quite different to Ryan. Ryan makes an interdiction. Glover is basically in your face and shoot at point blank. What is a sniper? I don't surprise you when I tell you he kind of wants to stay a bit further away. He has a longer range at 14, power 10 as well, magical attack. Also Black Penny, for those that follow, it means he can shoot in melee without problem. Kind of cool and cinematic for a sniper. Let's imagine how he does that. He can gain blast, something quite important though. I don't understand how this sniper becomes blast. I guess it's magical munitions, whatever. But yeah, he can make a blast weapon, AoE 2, and good for either when your enemy is very packed or when it's difficult to aim to actually touch the enemy. And brawl damage, so another damage roll if the target has been directly hit. So it can be counterintuitive with a blast. But yeah, it means that on the feet of Caine, you can have Black Penny and brutal damage and just at point blank headshot someone with your sniper, which is very cool, let's be honest. So that's for the Cygnar part, very mobile, very like soapy. If it works, if you understand what it means, confirm me in the comment. But yeah, you can just keep moving around, being very hard to hit, point blank, like short range firepower, and basically just be pistolero or gun mage. In a steampunk setting, I have to admit, like, it's not my playstyle, but damn, those guys look cool. Now we go with Khador, which I really like this faction as well. I might be starting a Khador army. I would need to see. There are also Gravediggers I really want to start playing. Depends on what people around me are playing. I know we have now a Krix player. We have someone that is starting Elves, the House of Dusk. So we're trying to see who takes which army, but there is a huge chance that I'm starting a Khador army, especially when the models are so brilliant. So, Vilkul, Captain Vilkul, what does he do? First of all, he has a gas mask, chemical mask, which means he ignores cloud effect, concealment from cloud effect, basically, but it's a gas mask. If it's a gas attack, he's fine, okay. He has Prowl, so we've seen it just before, when he's concealed, he gains stealth, good. And he gives it to the Warjacks in his battle group. So damn. It has a special attack, special capacity called Rise as well. If he's knocked down during your maintenance, he stands up. Okay, so you don't need to spend an action for that. Great. And finally, Takedown. If he kills an enemy with melee attack, no toth rolls again. Basically a headshot, but in melee, which is kind of cool. Well, he has a quite violent axe, mechanical like chain axe, so it's kind of more violent than just a headshot, but still just as efficient. So you can see it's kind of like the parallel of what you do with Cygnar. So what do we start to explain? Let's start by saying that he's also, he's defense 16, but armor 15, so a little bit more armored, but a little bit less defense compared to Caine, alright. He has a thrown axe attack, which is probably what we see him doing right here, which is range 8, okay. Power 13, magical attack as well, somehow. Like, I'm reading this right. Yeah, this is magical attack symbol. So, okay, it's a magical axe, sure. You get to choose either Ward Breaker, which means you gain Blessed. Okay, that's, wow. So, as it says, like Blessed, so you go through magical defenses and everything, great. Or Eruption of Axe, which is a bit more complex. Basically, when you hit a model, kind of like what we've seen with Ryan, you make a cloud template on the model that has been killed, and then anybody that gets inside gets the same power 12 fire damage roll. So that's, again, like, exactly the same. Let's imagine that there is a literal eruption of hash. I don't understand how it works. It's magic, and I will need to read his lore when it gets released, if it gets released, because I would like to understand how it works. But yeah, there is basically an explosion of something where the axe killed someone somehow. In melee is really no joke either. He has still the same mechanic axe, the one that he was throwing. So same thing, Eruption of Ash, Ward Breaker, so he can melee people, so great, he can throw axe, and it has this dual attack thing, great. He also has a combat knife, much less interesting. Do note that Eruption of Ash, from what I understand, like, it can make it on yourself. Like, you kill someone, Eruption of Ash on the guy that you kill, so you're technically in melee, so you're kind of like under the Eruption of Ash. So, ouch. Though, no, it doesn't count like a gas effect, this Eruption of Ash. I'm not reading, because he has a gas mask, and we will see that many people in this group have gas masks.
So I'm like, is it a gas attack? I don't see this. Eruption of Ash, you could say that Ash is gas a little bit. No, I don't read that. Maybe it's written somewhere. Anyway. So, his feat. We've seen that the Caine's feat was really important for like the one turn at point blank firepower. What does he get? He gets Pile of Ashes. You put D3+3 cloud templates anywhere in your control range, and whenever you're on these specific templates, models on it gain Pathfinder. They can move through other models and everything, so you really get a lot of like smokes and mirrors. And living models gain -2 defense and -2 to attack rolls, and they lose tough unless, and this is specified, they can ignore gas effect. So -2 defense, -2 attack, you lose tough, except for yourself and your models that we'll see just before. Which is why I'm like Eruption of Ash. It doesn't say like unless you can ignore gas effects. So I'm like, probably you can kind of like damage yourself by doing this. Two specific front, you can give to yourself Chiller, which means that models within 2 inches that cannot resist the cold get -2 defenses. So you can see between, you can give -4 just with Cold Front and Pile of Ashes if it's a living model. Quite good. You can really like make him weak and getting ready for the takedown. And Cyclone, which is basically you make a full advance, and then you can make one melee attack against each model in its melee range. So you basically jump on the enemy. It costs 2 focus points because it's quite strong. But you jump in the middle and you make, it's basically the warrior attack in World of Warcraft. You make a little round attack, and yeah, that's basically what it is. By the way, I didn't want to say this, but since I mentioned World of Warcraft, tell me those guys are not the Cultirans. It was like those kind of like steampunk pirates, like with the hat especially and the pistols. Really reminds me of this. Anyway, so yeah, you basically jump around and you make a melee. Okay, that is good. So it's he is a menace. He is a menace. He has quite a few attacks. He's more offensive based, but he's still a little bit vulnerable. Though he can prowl, so you can try to keep him safe until he reaches the enemy. The named character Warjack is Razor, and this guy. First of all, the style is so cool. He has a chain shield. God damn! And look at this machine gun. That's it. I'm playing head on for sure. So what does he get? Armor 19 base, and you already think like, okay, 19 is good. He has a Reaper shield which gives him +2, so he goes at base of 21 armor. That is great. Do note he is 1 point more expensive than the Deuce we've seen. He is at 18 points to get him in your list. He has a few interesting lists. First of all, Anchor, which is I really like it because when models are back to back with this guy, they cannot be knocked down, and being knocked down is very annoying. And very, except if you get Rise like the Kapitan, it's annoying. So here with this list, like it's hard to go on the ground. He gets reposition as well, so you can go around, shoot, and then move another 3 inches. Quite great. And Swift Hunter, which means that when you destroy a model, you can then advance up to 2 inches. So let's say you move around, you shoot, you kill someone, well, then you can move 5 inches in total. Quite great, isn't it? You are mostly a shooty guy, but I do like the Reaper Shield as well. Like, I mean, it's no joke. It's not like just a random melee weapon for the joke, because it's power 18, okay? It gives you shield as well, and it has critical shred, so when you make a critical, you make 1 additional attack with the weapon. So you really like drill the guy under the grinder, like it's incredible. And beatback, so you push them away with the shield and you follow up as you're grinding them down. It's quite messy thing, probably. Let's not make a video of what happens. But yeah, you have 2 attacks. First of all, you get grenade launchers, which I suppose it's those things that we see right there. I imagine it's quite modern in how it looks, and I do like it very much. Those grenade launchers, obviously they're blast, so it's like area of effect 2, 10/5 as power, so it's not insane, but they are arcing fire, so you can shoot over your allied units, which I just love. And targeting flare, special rule, which basically when you don't need to shoot, you can just put a flare and then the people there lose stealth and a few other, like, yeah, ignore cloud effects, okay. But basically, instead of shooting, you can just put a flare and it, yeah, removes stealth, which is, again, quite modern and fluffy, and I like it very much. Though, do note, the flare, for some reason, you cannot shoot out of line of sight. You would guess that, okay, there is someone there, shoot a flare, and you should be able to shoot in the forest, even somewhere you don't see through the arcing fire, but okay, I guess it would be too strong otherwise, to just have someone hidden behind a house and just shooting flares turn after turn. The main weapon, though, look at this. The Slug Cannon, power 16, okay, good. when you hit a small or medium base, the guy gets pushed away, okay. The collateral damage is the power of the weapon, so 16 as well. And on top of that, the heavy, like large base, like Warjack and everything, they get knocked down. Wow. It's a siege weapon, so if you start to shoot on huge base model or building, you get another damage roll. So yeah, you can start to see that this thing is made to attack fortresses. And you can spend one focus to make an additional attack with this. And I think you will do this every single time. Like, it's a very good weapon. Power 16. Like, it is short range, but when you can, especially if you're shooting at a huge model or a building, but even without, like, I think you just shooting twice with this thing every single turn. It's just so good. I really like Razor, and it looks brilliant, and it's much less complicated. You just get close to the enemy, you shoot your grenades, maybe the little combo you can do if you cannot see the guy, if you first put a flare and then you shoot him with your slug cannon, and if the enemy gets too close, you just go in there and you kill them with your Reaper Shield, which is power 18. Wow. We continue with Sergeant Goran Lazarenko. Alchemical Mask, again, okay, we will see this a lot. Reposition, you've seen, so he shoots any moves. Prowl, same as his Kapitan, he gains stealth, so you can just hide in the shadows, let's say. What is this guy? Is a shooter, like he has defense 14, armor 14, okay, well balanced, fine. He's there, you see he has a giant rocket launcher, that's what he is for. He's marksman, so when you damage a Warjack or a War Beast with this, you can choose which column he takes damage, so you can really aim for something specific. Remove, I don't know, the head, remove the shield. Whichever helps you most, you can choose where to shoot. Great. And you might do a lot of damage because his rocket launcher is called a Jackbuster. And for 4 points, because this solo is 4 points, does pack a punch. It's area of effect, so power 14/7. Wow. Brutal damage. So if you make a direct hit, another die, okay, so you can start to really punch up against Warjacks. And critical stagger, so when you hit, for example, a Warjack, let's say, critical hit, it loses its initial attacks and it cannot make power attacks or special attacks for a round. So you can really kind of like deactivate or neutralize a Warjack with one very well-aimed rocket each turn. And that's what he does. He has a big rocket launcher, he hunts Warjacks, and with his Jackbuster, and just love it. For 4 points, it's very thematic, and I think it's quite powerful. So yeah, put Lazarenko in your lists, just because he's so cool, and he will look so good in the middle of winter core soldiers. Like, he's a bit armored, but he looks very, very cool, goddamn. And we finish with the Hounds, which, look at those guys with their shields. I mean, I like gun mages, they're very cool, very cool. Don't you want to play Khador when you see all these guys with their heavy shield? Everybody has heavy shield except the Kapitan. They look amazing. So those guys, everybody has alchemical masks. Again, okay. 3 of those. Let's start with, let's say, Scrobala, which has reposition 3, okay. It has shield wall, so again, shield wall, you put your 3 guys together, they're gonna give themselves +2 to their armor, so they're gonna go to armor 17, which is quite good when you consider that they are only 8 points, okay. They have, each of them, 8 boxes of health, so start to be heavy infantry. So Scrobala, as we've said, has an assault cannon, you can see it's basically the Gatling right there. The Gatling has volume fire. So first of all, rate of fire D3+1, power 12, not bad. Volume fire and critical knockdown. Volume fire means that you get +1 to your both attack and damage rolls when you shoot against medium-based models. And when you shoot against larger-based models, including huge, you get +2 to your attack rolls and +2 to your damage rolls. So you're really like, that's good, that's good. And critical knockdown, when you make a critical, the enemy gets, well, knocked down, so quite good. He's also, or she's also, actually, you don't see under the mask, it could be anyone. They are also girded, which means that anybody back-to-back gains resistance blast. So between your Warjack that was giving you immunity to being knocked down, you have a shield wall, you gain resistance blast. You can start to see that they want you to make a literal shooty shield wall with the Hounds, with the Razor, and just advancing forward and being immune to many capacities. let's continue with Fediniak, which is this guy with the grenade launcher right there. So also girded, alchemical mask, like same thing. He does have pro, which means that, okay, you can hide more, but for example, Skrobala doesn't have it, so be careful. Not everybody has pro, so it can be seen. The grenade launcher has arcing fire, so you can shoot above your models if you have a line of Winter Corps infantry, for example. The grenade launcher is nice, power 12/8, rate of fire 1, but it's a grenade launcher. Like, it's not insane, like, but it's a good weapon, especially with arcing fire. And we know that so it's the same firepower, let's say, as the assault cannon, but it's blast. So it means when there is a damn elf hidden in the forest, you can still try to hit him with power 8. Can be enough. And finally, Teteria is this girl with Death Whisper Carbine. So she has also Shield Wall, also girded, the gas mask, and she has Inspiration. Which means that while she is alive, she's probably the sergeant, all the models get +1 to their attack roll, which can be cumulative with other things, such as, for example, the volume fire of Skrobala. Her weapon is the Death Whisper Carbine, which is only power 6, but you, that's of course power 6, you would think there is something. It's armor piercing. And why is it so low power? Because when you calculate the damage from the weapon, you divide by 2 the damage, like the armor characteristic. So someone armor 20 and it's hard to breach counts as having armor 10. So when it's armor 10 and you are power 6, starts to be easier to do a lot of damage, especially when you get when you start to give some buffs and increase your damage roll. So overall, they're very interesting as well. I mean, they're a good complement. Like, you can play with them, just with them, and later on, when you have a Winter Corps army or later Khador armies, you will be able to play those miniatures quite easily in any of your pack. Like, they're very thematic, they're quite fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to putting them on the table. They do play differently than the Gun Mages, but I still think that it's a bit complex for a new player to, when you need to start to learn all the special things of Warmachine, and there are quite a few rules, like what is a cloud effect, what is gas, what is concealment, what do you mean divide the armor. Like, when you begin, it can be difficult to start with just this starter set. Like, I'm thinking of 2 friends, they buy this box, they divide, they build the miniatures, they put them on the table. Okay, did you read the rules? No, let's open the book. That's gonna be difficult. So you really need, I would say Warmachine really benefits from having someone explaining the game to you if you have in your community. Otherwise, probably starting at very low points is going to be easy enough, but this 2-player starter set might not be the easiest way. I would say there are these packs that allow you to play at 30 points. They are called cadres, and yeah, I do believe that cadre are the best way to start, because they usually have not so complex rules, depending on which faction you play, of course, but they allow you to play smaller scale game and then to plug and play those cadres into the main armies once you start playing. And yeah, I'm very surprised by this. I mean, they don't lie, like, Warmachine is a complex game. You can make it simpler if you would like, and that's probably what you're gonna do in Paris at some point if you want to make larger scale battles. But this starter set has complex units. They have complex interaction. It's not going to be easy to play, especially Cygnar is a little bit soapy, glass cannon feeling, and even Khador is not that tough. Like, you need to prowl, you need to be careful, you have more this castle feeling, but they're not invincible at all. When you compare to the cadre of Khador, the Annihilation cadre, those guys are walking tanks, and they're very easy for a beginner. You push them forward and you're like, okay, deal with me now. Those are 2 parts of the starter sets, harder to play. If you like the design, go for it. Like, they're not, it's not impossible to play. Like, I make it feel like it's a huge work. You will play a game and try to have your file, like, print the data sheet and everything, but you will learn the game and you'll be like, okay, the second time you play, you will understand everything. Just be aware that there is going to be a harder step, and if you're looking to start playing Warmachine and you have some terrain already and everything, don't think that this is the best way to start the game and you absolutely have to take this box even if you don't play either of the factions. That's not true. You can absolutely start with a cadre, so Annihilation cadre for the Khador. There is this Incarnate cadre for the Chimeras, which looks amazing and has been resized up recently. I cannot wait to see it on the table if someone in our group buys it one time. So yeah, they're good, nice cadres, but don't focus on this if you don't want them, because there's a lot of equivalent like this that would be a little bit more expensive per cadre, but they are still gonna be very fun. And if you prefer them style-wise, gameplay-wise, and everything, do go on these other cadres rather than just jumping on the two-player starter set, which is still a very good deal and is in plastic. This can be their argument. The other cadres that have been released are in like 3D printed, and those are the first plastic. So yeah, big advantage there, and it's cheaper. So okay, I can hear that. Okay, I hope this helped you to see clear whether you want this two-player starter set or not through the unboxing, the Tactica, and my quite honest opinion on whether this is a great starter set for beginners. If it helped you to choose whether to buy it or not, give us a thumbs up anyway, it really helps, and tell us in the comment what you think of Warmachine. Are you gonna get the starter? Do you play those factions? And is it just me being stupid and they're super easy to play? Or do you agree that it's a little bit complex and a lot of rules compared to other factions and cadres in Warmachine? Let us know in the comment. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and we're getting the community of Warmachine started so we can start to make once in a while some battle reports. I do have my Storm Legion. I'm gonna start some Khador, and I got a couple friends of the channel getting their own armies started. Thank you very much, take care of yourself, and until the next video, remember to keep things fair in love and war games. Bye!